Sure, my name is Patrick Sheehan,
Okay, keep going.
Director of the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency.
We've got good audio.
Good audio? Okay, great. So I'm going to start out with, can you explain the 118th Wing's involvement in the flooding event we had over the weekend?
Sure, so we had a fast developing situation. We've had terrible rainfall since the 6th of February 2019, but in the last 10 days, really, a number of significant rainfall events. In and of themselves, each of them is actually pretty moderate, but when put together, they've led us to the wettest February in Tennessee history, and that's from Memphis to Mountain City, where we really are the wettest February that we have on record. So what we had, though, was the rivers were rising quickly, and at the time, the initial forecast that we were receiving from the National Weather Service and the Tennessee Valley Authority on their dam project on the Tennessee River was that we were going to reach historic crests, so unprecedented levels of flooding, and we had no mapping to be able to show us, which we do a lot of mapping ahead of time with them, we rely on their products, but we had no mapping to be able to show us what the consequences of reaching that forecast historic level would be. And the Airmen of the 118th and the 236th were able to come together with little notice and work overnight to help develop products that would show us the infrastructure and the structures that would be vulnerable to damage should the flooding have reached that level, and even at lower levels.
Tennessee and citizens of Tennessee don't understand how all that happens or how all it comes together. Could you explain a little bit about who you call or how that kind of comes together so people are protected, or we're creating products that you guys can use to protect the public?
Right, so when damage or the threat of damage is sufficient enough, we go into a state of emergency. So we activate the Tennessee Emergency Management Plan, which is the state of Tennessee's overarching plan for the management, the mitigation, preparedness, and response to and recovery from disasters. And in that plan, then, there's tasking authorities, so that as the director of TEMA, the agency itself can task other agencies and organizations within the state and federal agencies as well to some degree, in order to meet needs. And we knew that we had a critical information need, and having worked with the 118th after the Gatlinburg wildfires or the Sevier County wildfires in 2016, knowing the capability they could bring to bear, having discussions with the Assistant Adjutant General for Air and the Adjutant General, Major General Holmes, we knew that they would be able to bring a capability to bear to help us make analysis really quickly and do an assessment on what the potential damage from this type of flooding as it was forecast would be.
Doing domestic operations here in the state, do you think most people know that the military is used in this way?
I don't think most people know that the capability exists. I mean, I think, unfortunately, I think for a lot of people, a uniform is something they see on TV. It's not someone they generally don't know that their neighbors are guardsmen, air guardsmen or Army guardsmen, and the role that they can play and the types of things that they can do in our state to serve fellow Tennesseans. I think most people just don't have an awareness of it.
So we're so proud of your team, TEMA, the Tennessee Military Department. Do you have anything else that you want to add about how they've performed over the weekend? And
Sure. So, the Adjutant General, Major General Holmes, the Assistant Adjutant General Jason Glass for the Air Guard, and Assistant Adjutant Generals for Army as well. We have an emphasis on making sure that we have one Tennessee, that we're one team helping the state of Tennessee be as ready and move as fast as possible before a crisis and during a crisis to bring resources to bear. And I'm just incredibly proud of the men and women of the 118th and the 236th who were able to answer the call here. But it's not just today, it's not just for this event, it is every day, day in and day out. When called, they respond and they make things better. And I'm just incredibly grateful for the men and women of the Tennessee National Guard and all our partners, but today especially I want to acknowledge them for the great work that they do every day.